booth here for the workshop. And tonight, David Nichols is going to talk to us tonight. He is from REI. He's been working in the outdoor industry for at least 5 years now. He's been living in Rochester for the last year working for REI, and before that he was living in Virginia working for backcountry.com. Tonight he will talk to us about hiking apps, so hopefully he can help us all figure out how to use these more efficiently or what's great out there. Please welcome David Nichols.
So like I said, my name is David Nichols. I am the market coordinator for our store in Rochester, which means I'm in charge of education and outreach for our store. That being said, I'm pretty darn familiar with the kind of partnership that Adirondack Mountain Club and REI has. I personally benefited from that. Thanks to our partnership, I was able to become a leaf no trace master educator through the Adirondack Mountain Club, which I was very excited about. So thank you for letting me come here tonight, and thank you for partnering with us at REI. You're a really fantastic group, and we're really appreciative of that partnership. Like Jill said, I am here to talk to you guys about hiking apps. This is kind of the general outline of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So we're going to be talking about the types of apps available. I'm going to be highlighting some prime examples of the kind of different types that are out there. Talk about if I even think they're worth it, and then I'll open it up for questions at the end. So when I'm talking about hiking apps, what am I talking about? So really, I'm defining a hiking app as a mobile app used by hikers as a resource either on or off the trail. The reason that definition is kind of vague is while there are apps specifically designed for hikers and hiking in the outdoor industry, there are also some apps out there that hikers have kind of co-opted and taken from kind of other intended uses and use them on their hikes because they offer some features that they use and are familiar with. So in general, that's kind of what we're talking about. And we can break those apps down into some major types here. So we can kind of categorize them as a user-based or a general info app. You've got training and tracking apps, so more specifically GPS tracking apps that usually fall into kind of this training category. And then you have your maps and your kind of general trails apps. And of course, there's combinations of all three of these in various shapes and forms. And in fact, all the ones I'm going to be talking about today have probably a little bit of each one of those categories, but they tend to focus more on one over the other two in general. Now, of course, when we're talking about anything to do with phones and mobile apps, there's literally hundreds of options out there. Everybody's making a new app every second. You know, you talk to just about every major outdoor company, and they probably have an app associated with their brand, us included. So instead of trying to cover everything, I'm going to focus on three tonight. So we're going to be talking about HikingProject, Strava, and then finally AllTrails. Some of you, I see some nodding, have probably heard of at least some of these. These are probably some of the more popular ones out there. They also are really good examples of our three kind of categories. So first we're going to talk about HikingProject. Now conveniently, HikingProject is owned by REI, so I kind of have to talk about it. But it is a good app, I will say that. It definitely falls into that user-based category, so the users, the people who download the app, can submit trails and trail conditions to the app to be uploaded into a database, so anyone who's looking at trail or HikingProject can see those trails. Now I will say this is also part of a suite of apps that REI acquired a couple of years ago. That includes MTB Project as a mountain biking app, there's a trail running project, there's Mountain Project, HikingProject, which is a mountaineering app. There's also a climbing app. They all follow this same kind of general formula. So if you're doing multiple activities, we have a whole suite of apps for you to take a look at. The nice thing about these is you end up with a lot of information because people are posting it all the time, so you get a lot of updates with trail conditions and things like that. What a lot of these apps kind of run into, though, as far as issues, is unsubstantiated user input, and that's kind of what separates HikingProject apart from some of the other ones. As part of the submission process for info, it has to be confirmed by the app team. So they're checking with local land manager updates. They're making sure that the trails that you're submitting are actually established trails. You don't show up to a place and then realize you're bushwhacking for the next 10 miles. Things like that. So we do a lot of work to make sure that what is being submitted is actually real. And so that kind of helps solidify some of that information. The downside of user-based apps like this is you have to have an active user base in your region in order for this type of app to be helpful. It also helps if the app's been around for a little while. So there's a lot of these apps popping up because it's honestly easier to develop because you're not doing any of the legwork, you're letting your users do it. But the newer the app is, the less information it's going to have unless they're pulling from another database. So depending on where you are, you may not find a lot of information that's helpful to you. So, prime example, the ClimbingProject version of this app doesn't have a whole lot of information locally in the Rochester area, but if you go, say, to Western Mass, there's literally thousands of inputs. And just for whatever reason, that community is a very active community on the app. So that really affects some things. So when you open the app, this is actually a screenshot from my phone, so this is exactly what you're going to see if you download and open the app. It automatically pings the GPS of your location, and it'll pull up local trails that are in your area that are in the database. So when I took a screenshot of this, that little dot right there is me. And then you see here in green, you've got a couple of trails listed in ponds right there, so obviously a lot of trails in that area. This is an interactive map, so if I were to zoom out, it would show some more trails. If I were to move around the map, you would see different trails, they would autofill. The other nice thing is you can search certain areas, which I'll show you in a minute. You can also overlay satellite imaging to that map, which is helpful depending on where you're looking, so you can kind of get an idea of the region. You can also look at this same information in a list view. So right here, you hit this blue button here, it'll bring up a list of local hikes. You can scroll through these, and it'll actually, I believe on this app, it should highlight those trails on there. And you can kind of see user ratings there. Another thing I'm going to mention is the trails themselves are color-coded based on user reviews as far as difficulty. So green trails that show up on the map are going to be considered easy trails, blue are going to be moderate, black are going to be hard. And that's an aggregate kind of rating based on how many people have reviewed, how much feedback they get per trail. As you continue, once you select a hike, this is what you'll pull up. So it'll give you some kind of general information. So you get elevation, ascent and descent. You get, looks like, these are your high and low elevation. There's some distance on there as well as some kind of general description of the hike. As you scroll down, you actually get a visual representation of that elevation change. You can see where the trail happens. And then some more information as far as kind of general kind of notes about that hike. And then as you continue to scroll, you actually get a pretty detailed description of that hike. Some of these become incredibly detailed, so like you might see information about water sources if you weren't invented. Or unique features on that trail, that kind of thing, kind of in this area. One nice thing about all these apps that we'll be talking about today is there's also a desktop interface on all of these. So you can access this not only on your phone, but also on your computer. So if you were to just go to HikingProject.com, this is what you would see. Really helpful on all of you to create a profile. Then you can kind of do some more customization and searching. So this is literally, we'll go to my profile on this. So I haven't done a whole lot with this app yet. And I'll get into that as to why in a little bit, but this would show you things that I favorited, different places. You can drop pins at the head of trails, attach to your profile so people can see like where you've been. It also helps you kind of keep record of all that stuff. If I have made any trail contributions to the app, that would show up here. And I'll actually show you that feature in a second, because it's actually a pretty unique feature. And then any sort of like social media kind of side of things, any reviews I've done, any comments, any things like that. So let me jump to the trail guidance portion here. This is kind of cool. So if you're someone who carries around a GPS unit and you like to track your progress while you're hiking, you can actually upload that information into this app through certain different file types and load in trails that way. You can also do it manually. So swing down here, add a trail. So you can choose your file there, or I can just open the map. And what that's going to do is, again, it's pinging my location. So obviously in Rochester, and this little target is kind of showing in what area. Hey, this is the REI. Of course. So I can swing over here and say, okay, that's where the general idea of where the trail is. Continue. And what this is going to pull up is a zoomed in view of that little target area, and you've got this line. So you've got your start, your terminus, and then you can actually manipulate this line in different ways to show kind of how your trail moves, if you have a good idea of how that works. Especially if you're on an established trail and it shows up on the map, it's pretty easy to trace kind of thing. And that's where the satellite view comes in handy. You can also change this to different topographic maps. So they have the open source map, OSM, topographic map. They've got NeoTrex, which I'm not as familiar with, but it looks like it's using the USGS topographic maps that are open sourced, and then some other topographic maps, which you can use to kind of help kind of create your contour. And then once you finish doing that, you hit save, you put in some other information, and then you send it off, and then it gets approved or not approved by the app community.
Yeah. So when you're adjusting that trail,
yeah.
can you do that when you're in that area?
Not necessarily. So
At home?
yeah, you can do this at home. So if you do a hike, you really like that hike, and you want to add it to a database because it's not there, you can go back. It's especially helpful if you drop like a pin, like at the start of the trail, so that you can find it later, and then you can literally do this. The other option, again, is if you carry a GPS unit and you're letting that trace your path, you can literally just upload the file, and then it'll set. The other feature I'm going to show is the search feature, which I think is also very helpful. So again, you can just search, go ahead and search the Adirondack Lodge, and what this will pull up is the Heart Lake region of the High Peaks, and then you can see, you've got all of your High Peaks trails here listed. Like this. So here are all of your a bunch of High Peaks trails. Heart Lake is up here. So like if I were going to go to Mount Marcy and Overbird Trail, you get some nice pictures. You can also add pictures to these a lot. That's a big part of a lot of these apps, is adding photographs. But again, it's giving you some information about the trail. You can zoom into this and kind of get some topographic information. You can pull up driving instructions, drive directions. You also get to see some more elevation here. But what's nice is you can actually trace this. Let's see if I can get this both on the same window here. what I can do is trace this little cursor, and it should be showing up on the trail itself. But gives you an idea of kind of how that elevation rises and falls. So there's a lot of good information you can get from this app. It's not going to be your, you know, end-all be-all app. It's definitely a good reference point. It's a good way to kind of create some community in the hiking world and things like that. So that is HikingProject. So next we're going to talk about Strava. Now, Strava was originally designed for cycling and running. It's really a training fitness app, but it's becoming, I've seen it used a lot more in the hiking realm, and they've actually recognized that, so there's actually a hiking feature on the app itself. It doesn't just allow, so you can kind of change some settings and stuff like that. So they're recognizing that hikers are starting to use this app as a kind of a general activity tracker. Again, this uses GPS signal on your phone to track you. The also unique feature of this app in general is there's a community social media feature on this app. So you, other Strava users can interact with your profile if you are using this, if you are doing an activity and there are other Strava users nearby doing the same activity, they'll actually show up on your maps, which is kind of a cool thing. There's a couple other things that I'll show you in a little bit that kind of reinforce the community. I think that's why it's been so big in the running world, particularly because you know, there's a lot of kind of back and forth and challenging each other and pushing each other in the running community. But it is a cool way of creating some feedback between different users. And the other thing that's kind of not necessarily unique, but we're seeing more and more in these apps is there are premium features that you can get through a monthly fee. And there's actually a whole suite of features that's pretty unique to Strava that I'll talk about here in a minute. So again, when you open this, it goes to your profile. It'll show any activity that you've done in the last, the last little bit. Also, if you are connected to anybody on Strava, it'll show their activity on this page as well. It's almost like a Facebook feed for activity. So if anybody nearby or anybody that you're connected with on Strava has done something recently, it might pop up. So you can kind of see what else is going on. The other thing you'll see here are these challenges down here. So people can create challenges and people can participate in challenges. So like say, I did this hike in, 4 days. And then if you go and you do that same thing, you can say you completed that challenge and that'll show up on your profile as like a little badge. So it's kind of a cool way of interacting that way. And then if you hit the little sidebar here, this kind of shows you an idea of what you can kind of do with this app. So you record your activity, you can show your feed. There's a whole thing about segments, so you can see who else has done that particular section of whatever you've just done, better or worse than you. So, especially in the running world, I was talking with one of our running guys today. He really likes it in the sense that if he runs a hill a couple seconds faster than someone else he knows on Strava, it'll actually show him. And so it's a way of kind of going back and forth on that. I think this is an interesting idea when it comes to the fastest known time trend that's kind of becoming so popular in especially long distance hiking. It's a good way to kind of confirm some of those claims because this tracks so well. There's also resources for clubs. There's some training information, and then of course they're asking you to join their premium features. So when you flip over to kind of your personal profile, obviously again I have not used this app a whole lot, but I have used it a little bit to just kind of get a feel for it. So it'll show you kind of your recent activity. This is a hike I did over in Mendoza to kind of test the recording ability and kind of the tracking ability of the app. And so it can give you kind of general information there about that hike in general, and then gives you kind of a mini map there. And then when you select that activity, it gives you a little more information. Again, this is an interactive map, so you can blow this up, you can move around on that map, and so you can really see how it traces, and then it gives you some splits, some overall time, a lot of different things right there, and then there's some kind of rating systems on that as well. Again, this has a user interface on the desktop, very, very similar. Again, this is my profile. One thing, I'm going to dive into this really quick. So if you go to your activity there, what's I think kind of interesting and what's helpful is it does break down your pace by mile, which, depending on how you like to hike and what you like to do, that can be really helpful. So you can kind of see where you're lagging. You can also look at the elevation gain. Obviously, this is meant in ponds, so it's not crazy strenuous. But it does kind of highlight also how much of that mile takes up that trail, which is kind of a helpful thing. And then down below here, you get a very detailed elevation rise and fall throughout the whole trail. So you can see kind of where all of those dips are. And again, this is incredibly detailed, which is pretty great. And then the last thing I'm going to show you, which is again a very unique feature of this particular map. There's a feature on this app called Flybys, which is pretty interesting. And what this does is this will show you if anybody is doing that same hike as well, and if they did it faster or slower than you. But what I think is kind of cool is this actually plays a live kind of track of your hike. So you can see kind of where you stopped, where you looked around. It's kind of fun. But it can be helpful, I think, if you notice a pattern and you're hiking and you're like, well, I'm not getting the miles that I want. You go back and you watch the recording and you're like, oh, it's because I keep getting distracted. Or, oh, I remember that section that was really, really hard. That's why it took way, way longer. So it's just kind of a cool, unique feature to this app. One thing I will point out on this is this traces really, really well. Again, this was in full service. This was in the town of Rochester. But we get really, really detailed. You can see every little deviation I made on the trail. So that's how accurate this GPS can get. So, you can even see where I went down the road trailhead for about a minute. So that's Strava in a nutshell. Lastly, we're going to talk about AllTrails. AllTrails has been around for a really, really long time. A lot of people have at least heard it, I'm sure. This is probably the most common / popular hiking specific app out there. I actually use this app, but it is primarily a mapping. There is some GPS features in this, but it's primarily for the maps. There is some user input in there. There is some GPS tracking that you can do. You can record your trails as well on this app, as well as write reviews. People like to put trail updates on there as well as the trail condition updates. So it can be a helpful resource in there. And then with this app as well, there are some premium features for a monthly fee. So when you open this one, it's going to, again, pin your GPS. It'll give you a list view of all the the hikes in your area. Again, I did this, I think, at the REI store, so it's pulling up all the kind of the local stuff. You can also do a map view, which can be kind of interesting and helpful because what it'll show is concentrations of those hikes. So like right down here, you see the circle with the number on it around Emmett Ponds, which will show you, okay, there are 10 hikes in this area. And what you can do is you can tap that and it'll blow that up and it'll show you those hikes. You can kind of go deeper and deeper into some of these areas. So if you're new to an area or just kind of curious to see what's around, it's a really helpful way of just kind of seeing where the hikes are concentrated, what kind of hikes they are, that kind of thing. And then you still can kind of slide through the list right here. So after you select a hike, again, it's very similar to HikingProject. I think a lot of people are using this similar format. I think AllTrails kind of developed. But you get some nice pictures, you get a good general description of the hike, you get general information about that hike. What I like about AllTrails is they do say if it's an out and back or a loop or what kind of trail it is, because that does affect how you prepare for that hike. And then there's also, you can tag different information that you think might be helpful. So whether it's dog friendly, whether it's going to be a wet hike, whether it's going to be steep, high elevation gain, all of that stuff. And then as you scroll down that hike, you do get a thumbnail map of that hike. You get some more descriptive information there. You get the overall rating. And then if you keep scrolling, you get to user comments. And again, more rating systems and what they tagged that information for. Now, if you click on the map itself, you get a little more focused information. Again, that then becomes interactive, so you can zoom in, zoom out on that. You see the elevation gain and all that stuff. One unique feature, one premium feature of this app is you are able to download the maps to your phone. Why is that important? Because otherwise you need cell service in order to interact with these maps. But if you download one to your phone, and you no longer have cell service, but you still have GPS signal, you can still use a lot of the features on the map itself. That's one of the things that people are starting to learn, especially as mobile apps become more popular, especially with backcountry hikers. Cell service and GPS service are not one and the same, so you can often have GPS service and not cell service because they are pinging off of different satellites. You're not pinging off of towers or GPS, that kind of thing. So oftentimes you can use these apps in the backcountry when you don't have cell service. All right, oops. Let me jump over to AllTrails. So this is the home page. Again, we'll go to my profile, load that up. So again, we'll show any activity that I had. You can, with your profile, you can create lists of the different hikes that you want to do. You can save different hikes. You can show what you've completed, any reviews, photos you've taken, all of that stuff. So we can actually jump down to the hike I recorded. I simultaneously recorded that same hike on Strava and AllTrails, just to kind of see how the different tracking softwares work. They seem to be pretty darn similar. So if I were to zoom in on this, you can see that it's pretty darn close in how accurate this GPS tracking is by comparison. Honestly, I think the biggest difference is they use a kind of a thicker line to show your progress, that kind of thing. And then again, you've got the track elevation, where that elevation line or lay along the hike. This is not as detailed as the Strava app. It does more of a big picture and less of a small scale, so it does look a little different in that regard. So again, depending on how you're using these, that might be helpful or not. Now, the biggest thing when it comes to the premium features on AllTrails is the ability to download and print off maps from AllTrails. And for me personally, that's the biggest, I think, help and kind of draw to this app in general. So if I were to search, again, it's going to pull up this map here. One of the other nice things is you do have all of these different layers you can add, so you can use AllTrails has their own proprietary topographic system, which again, I think is pulling from the USGS open source topo maps that you can download for free, kind of thing. But you can look at historical topographic maps for that area, which can be really helpful depending on how old they are or how new they are. So, they may be up to date, they may not, but sometimes you get some really clear features there. Again, you have a couple of open source maps, as well as a couple of other ones here that you can kind of play around with and see which gives you the information you're most looking for. for. So like on this hike, what's nice about it, so like on the open source, is it does show you a couple of things. So it shows you where shelters and campsites are, which isn't necessarily available on all the different maps. But what I could do with this, if I wanted to print this, it should pull up, yeah. So it'll give you lots of different options. You can choose the size of the map you want. You can choose the grid system. So you can do a UTM grid system there. You can change the scale. So if you really want to be just like your classic USGS quadrangles, you can do a 1x24 with the UTM grids, and then you can kind of center this on your screen. And what's great is, again, you have scale, you have elevation, you have declination, and then you can print this on waterproof paper, and then you have a very specific map of the trail you're hiking, so you're not having to bring your giant Eastern High Peaks trail map with you on your hike. You're constantly folding, you're tearing it up, all that stuff. So you could actually create a pretty decent library of maps off of this one specific feature. Again, you can download these into your phone as well. So if you want to just use your phone, if it's going to be shorter hiking or whatever, you can pull these up, and then you can actually track yourself on the map on your phone, which can be incredibly helpful. So this is the biggest feature, at least for me, when it comes to AllTrails. Being able to print off. We had a day hiking class that we taught a couple of nights ago, and I pulled up one of the local trails around here, printed off 25 copies of the map that we can hand out. And it's all accurate information. It's all good information that you should have on a map, especially when you're going out hiking. So it's a great resource in that regard. So ultimately, are hiking apps worth it? Maybe. It really depends on a lot of different things. So a couple of things to consider. Do you have phone signal? So like I said, GPS signal and phone signal are not one and the same. However, apps, especially like the GPS or the training apps like Strava, do require phone signal. So if you're going into the backcountry, you're going to the high peaks, you're going to the Dix Range or whatever, you may not be able to actually use some of these apps. Another thing to consider with phone in general is just battery life. So do you want to bring some way to recharge your phone with you in the backcountry? The other thing is GPS signal. Depending again where you are, how much tree coverage you have, that can really affect how the GPS signal interacts with your phone. So again, depending on where you're going, what time of year, is it going to be really bad weather? That's another thing. If it's like super overcast or you get caught in a really heavy storm, it may knock out your GPS signal. Another thing is, what resources do you want? Do you want a bunch of it? Do you want access to maps? Are you planning to do an AT through hike and you need to up your training game? Or, do you want to start a, Adirondack Gun Club community and really start to interact on an app and kind of build up the community in that way? A lot of things to think about in that regard. And then finally, your hiking style. So do you like to bring electronics with you when you hike? Are you a map and compass type of person? Do you, again, want to carry a battery pack with you? Because that'll it could add pounds to your pack depending on how long you're going and how big a battery pack you bring. So a lot of this is just about personal preference. For me personally, I like hiking apps as a resource, usually in the front country. Really the only app that I use when I'm looking at any sort of backcountry hike would be AllTrails. But again, that's for the map printing capabilities. I can really tailor in and customize a map for wherever I'm going and really focus on that. The other thing that I didn't have time to show you on AllTrails is you can actually do similar like you can with HikingProject. You can actually trace out a trail. So if you're looking to create kind of your own loop in an area, you can actually see the mileage there. You can see elevation gain on that trail. It's a good planning app. I was doing that when I was planning to do 3 of the big hikes in Virginia, so like McAfee's Knob, Tinker's Cliff, and Dragon's Tooth. You can do that in a loop, but you have to kind of customize it. And so I used AllTrails to kind of plan out that route and kind of see where the mileage actually was compared to shelters. So in that regard, I find it really, really helpful. If I was doing an AT through hike, or I was going out to do PCT, doing a Strava app might be helpful because I can really tailor in. One of the preview functions that actually I can show you guys right now on the Strava app is they have these suites of different features that you can kind of tailor the app to what you need. So you've got kind of a training feature set of features, you've got a safety set of features, and an analysis set of features, or you can do the whole suite. But it allows you to kind of tailor-make this app for what you need it for as far as training goes. So if you do a lot of night running or solo hiking, you can set it up to work a lot like a lot of the SOS beacons do now, where you can ping your signal back to a set number of contacts to let them know kind of where you are and what you're doing. You can do all sorts of cool kind of analysis on your macros and all this cool, really intense stuff when it comes to training. So there's a lot of options with Strava, but again, it really just kind of depends on what you're looking for. So in a very kind of tight nutshell, that's kind of the world of hiking apps. A couple of others to look at that might be helpful to you. Gaia is another mapping GPS app that's become really, really popular these days. I haven't had a chance to mess with that one that much yet, but it's become, apparently the user interface is really, really nice and really, really helpful. View Ranger is another one that I think is kind of unique, because while it does do all the kind of general mapping stuff, if you take your phone with you, you can actually hold it up with your camera on to a mountain range, and it'll actually identify the peaks that you're looking at, which is pretty cool. Again, you need GPS and cell signal and all that stuff. But if you've got it, that's kind of a unique feature of that app. Then Tribe is another user-based input app. It's only been around 2 or 3 years. I got on the beta for that one. Again, the database is growing on that app, and I'm sure in the next couple of years, if it's successful, it'll become a super, super helpful app, but as of right now, it's still kind of small. And then you've got iHike, which is an iPhone-only app, which works okay. Like a lot of Apple apps that are very specific. But those are, again, so just a few other ones. There are, again, hundreds of them out there. You can really kind of look and see what is out there and what works for you. So, thank you very much again for letting me come out. If you guys have any questions at all, let me know.
Anybody have questions for David? You turn up the phone.
Yeah.